us on Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. Since 1912, the mission of the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired has been to enable Vermonters with blindness and vision problems in order to maintain independence. The VABV is the only private agency in Vermont to offer a complete range of services to visually impaired residents at no cost to the client. And joining me today to talk about the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired is Daniel Norris. He has served as the Director of Adult Services with VABV since 2012. Dan is also a Certified Orientation and Mobility Specialist, Certified Vision Rehabilitation Therapist. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you. And first, do you work with VABV, but you're also a client. Tell me a little bit about your visual impairment.
Yes, I have a visual impairment. I'm considered legally blind. I have a juvenile form of macular degeneration called Stargardt's. I developed it when I was 8 years old. I have no central vision, just peripheral vision, vision on the outside. My kids, they call it donut vision, vision on the outside. And the outside is very blurry with correction. And
we're going to talk about some of the things we have here on the table, but tell me what tools you use to go about your life.
Well, I use lots of tools that help me to work professionally and personally. My favorite tool is my phone. The iPhone is a great accessibility tool. Anybody that owns a smart tablet or a smartphone, they have in their pocket an accessibility tool that opens the world to them. You're able to enlarge images on the screen to make them as big as you need to see them. You can change the contrast. You can have the text read out loud to you. You could connect it to a refreshable Braille display, and Braille could be presented to you. All the text on the screen could be presented in Braille. It's a beautiful tool. I use it every day.
Yeah, that's incredible. And talk a little bit now about the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. How do you guys serve Vermonters?
Well, we work one-on-one with individuals. Whether you're a child or an adult, we help children to access their education, and we help adults to reach their goals and dreams, whether vocational or personal in life. We present an array of options that can help them to overcome the visual challenges they have, and they choose what they want. It's completely driven by our clients themselves. We work with them as a partner. They choose what they want to do. We help them brainstorm ways of overcoming it, and they choose what they like to do that.
And do you think your experience as somebody who's visually impaired helps you kind of mentor other people who work with VABV?
Well, absolutely. When I meet people who are blind and visually impaired, and my own personal experience, it can be very isolating. You may be the only person you know with a significant visual impairment, and so meeting someone who also has a visual impairment, who is working and is a husband, a father, a brother, involved in the community, it helps people to realize that their life is not over with a visual impairment. They define what it means to be a person with a visual impairment. The visual impairment does not define them.
Absolutely. And now talk a little bit, we mentioned that you work with orientation and mobility services. Talk about what those are.
So orientation mobility is helping people with vision loss to orient and travel in their chosen environments, both indoors and outdoors, being able to identify where you are in a space, being able to travel between point A and point B safely and efficiently, being able to take buses and trains and cross streets. All those skills are involved, and we can help teach someone who's visually impaired how to engage and be out in the community and where they want to be.
Talk about what some of those skills would look like for somebody indoors, for example.
So indoors, we can teach some skills, they're called non-visual skills, where you can have some protective techniques. For example, using what's called upper arm protective technique, where you bring your hand up just in front of your face at a 45-degree angle out in front of you. That can protect you when you're indoors with open cupboard doors and things like that, so you're not going to bonk your head. Lower arm protective technique, you have your arm at an angle down in front of you to protect your midriff and lower areas as you travel, so you're not bumping into the island and hitting your midriff and things like that. Trailing the wall with the back of your ring and pinky finger to be able to maintain a direct line of surface. Those are skills that help you to get around inside. Another technique is called human guide, which is where if I was being guided by another person, I would hold their elbow with my hand like a Lego person with a C-grip. And when they'd stop, that feedback would come through my arm to let me know they've stopped. And that's a way to travel through, say, a venue if you're going to an event to get around. And we have a video on our YouTube channel. It's a volunteer training video that teaches what's called Human Guide, and that'd be a great place to look at to learn how to guide someone who's visually impaired or to learn to be guided.
Sure, so it's not just for people who are caregivers, it's also for people who have visual impairments?
Our YouTube channel, yeah. Our YouTube channel, all of the videos have good descriptive language attached to them so that a person's able to access what's happening on the screen even if they can't see it. And then we also work on having subtitles and transcripts available for anybody who might need to access what was said in the video. But YouTube is a great resource for sharing information about vision loss. It's very popular to people who are blind and visually impaired. It's a great way to learn from other people with vision loss.
Absolutely. And how about some orientation and mobility services if somebody's outside? That must be a little different.
Yeah, outdoors we teach people how to use their other skills. They're using their other senses. How to listen for parallel traffic, perpendicular traffic. We teach them how to navigate using things like these canes here that are on the table. Canes are great because they can detect drop-offs as well as tripping hazards. And they also can signify to other people that you may not see them. This is my cane here on the table, right here in the middle, and it's great for me. I can see people traveling around me, but if a jogger is coming at me as I'm walking down the street, I may not see them until they come out of my blind spot. The cane helps to signify to the jogger I might not see them. So these canes, they're a great tool. Also, the white cane law in Vermont says that you must yield to someone that has a white cane or a service dog, and that's in all the DMV manuals, the white cane law. So the white cane is something that we need more awareness of in the community. Yeah,
absolutely. That's great for everybody to know. And you have a couple different kinds of cane here.
Yeah.
And a couple different kinds of end. Do you mind walking me through what the differences are?
Yeah, so my cane here in the middle, this is called a pencil tip or a straight tip, and this is very, very good. I do what's called a two-point touch where I tap a little to the left of my left foot and a little to the right of my right foot, and that allows me to detect those drop-offs and tripping hazards. However, this tip could get caught in a crack, and so if someone had more mobility challenges and they had challenge lifting and setting the cane down where it needed to be. This tip here is a rolling, like a marshmallow tip, and so that rolls back and forth. So you can just take the cane and it can roll back and forth with constant contact. So you get lots of feedback about where those tripping hazards and drop-offs might be. Also, this cane is special because it has built into it a spring-loaded end. So if you were to get caught in a crack, it wouldn't jab you in the gut, or if it did, it wouldn't hurt.
Sure.
And so different tips like this one here, this is a rolling ball tip. It also rolls, it's larger, so again it won't get caught in cracks. It'll detect drop-offs. Also the contrast, if you had low vision like me, that low vision would allow you to potentially use the cane to detect how far down something is, depth perception. You could use it for measuring distances.
Sure.
The support cane here, this is a support cane. It's also a white cane because it has the white on it. This has a special tip on the end where when you squeeze in these two buttons, the end comes around and there's some pokers there, some grippers. So if you're walking on ice, especially here in Vermont, that will help you to maintain your balance on icy, slippery situations.
Yeah, an added safety measure. That's great.
Absolutely.
And we've talked a little bit about kind of getting around, but how do you teach people to do things like crossing streets or taking the bus or even flying?
Well, so a combination of using these kinds of skills along with what I mentioned earlier, you learn the structure of intersections, how the traffic's flowing in it. So parallel traffic is what you're going to be crossing with. If the traffic's going with you, if it's an all-stop intersection, being able to detect where the button is depressed, that'll stop the traffic and turn on the audible pedestrian signals. Using your sense of cognitive mapping skills, we teach people how to kind of build what's called routes between landmarks, knowing where things are that don't change. And when you come across that landmark, that lets you know you're traveling along the route, just like on your GPS. It tells you to turn at this intersection, turn at that intersection. We teach people how to do that with and without GPS and ththings like that.
And a lot of the techniques you've talked about, are they also useful for people who have counterbalance concerns or issues like that?
Absolutely. A lot of the people we work with, especially seniors, they have balance issues. And so we work in partnership with physical therapists and occupational therapists. They prescribe the kind of supportive mobility device a person may need, like a support cane or a walker or something along those lines. And we then work with the PT and the OT to mark the device. If it doesn't have white tape on it, we can add the white tape to it to signify the person has a visual impairment, so that would meet the needs of the white cane law. And then also we'll then work with that individual to teach them those skills of travel and how to access. For example, we would teach them how when they go to the airport, you can have someone meet you at the gate and take you through security. And we'll teach them how to access those accessibility services at the airport and so forth, along with their mobility device like a walker and cane and so forth, so they can get from terminal to terminal and not miss their plane and flight.
Yeah. And how do you optimize your vision?
So I mentioned I have no central vision. In most people, the vast majority of people who are blind and visually impaired do have some degree of functional vision. And so we can teach them what's called visual efficiency skills. In my case, my outside vision is very blurry, but my lower left field is the clearest field that I have. So if I was to want to read text, I would actually look above and to the right of the text and put that text into my best field of vision. If I move my eye back and forth, I might lose my place because my blind spot will move across the print. So I hold that text in steady, or I hold my eye steady, and then I move the text back and forth in that clearest part of my vision so I can read as efficiently as possible. That's called eccentric viewing. And so these visual efficiency skills like that, we teach to our clients to let them get the most out of their functional vision if they want, need to use their vision. Likewise, we'll teach them non-visual skills like the trailing and upper arm and lower arm protective technique to be able to not rely on their vision when it might be easier to use their sense of touch. So it's a combination of those two things.
All right, we're almost out of time, but quickly I want to ask about another thing that people will run into all the time, which is stairs. How do you guys help people navigating that?
So marking stairs for people that have low vision is really useful. Here we have some stair marking tape, and this is a textured adhesive tape that you can apply to the nose of stairs. Right on the edge of the lip there, you want to put it there, and you could also use paint, and you could actually mix some sand into paint. You could do that at any hardware store. And that would give some texture to it that would prevent slippage if it's wet and so forth. You can do that indoors and outdoors, but marking a high contrast along the edge of the stair will help someone with low vision to navigate it better. And also we teach people how to use their cane if they were not using their vision to travel up and down the stairs.
Great, but a great note if somebody's visually impaired or also just wants to make sure their home is accessible.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And to connect with VABV to receive services from a certified O&M specialist, you can visit the website on your screen, vabv.org, or call 1-800-639-5861. That takes care of our program for today. I want to thank the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX who always make our program possible. I'm Jolie Whitney. This is Across the Fence. Have a good one.